The time is here, guys. The time is here. Let's talk about if Gotham Knights is going to be at E3 2021. Now, I love making these videos, right? I promised you guys I was going to do this. Over this past week, I've started my pre-coverage. I love doing this. I've done this, honestly, for like 4 or 5 years on YouTube. Don't go back and look, please. But I have done E3 quite a bit, and I am so insanely excited to do it again this year. So this is honestly very exciting, specifically for Gotham Knights and Warner Bros. Because, you know, really years and years and years, and I wasn't even around when Arkham Knight was like announced, right? I actually started YouTube like the year Arkham Knight did come out, and I barely did anything on YouTube anyway that year. But, you know, even back then, if we were to have made predictions, it would be like, well, Warner Bros. Isn't going. They never go. They never have. They never will. So will they partner with somebody? Will they partner with Sony? Will they partner with Microsoft? Now, it turns out they did partner with Sony that year to show Arkham Knight. Remember, I think E3 2014 is when they showed Arkham Knight, and it was amazing. I remember watching it live and being like, holy dear Jesus, this is awesome. I can't wait to actually play this game. So this year, we have Warner Bros. Actually going. Warner Bros. Will be having their own E3, and there's a lot they can actually do. So I'm going to predict quite a few, not even predict, kind of talk about, right? Several things. We got Gotham Knights. I'm going to be doing Hogwarts Legacy, Suicide Squad, Injustice, you know, Monolith's game, all of these games. I'm going to be trying to cover every single one of them that I think is even remotely possible to be announced or shown or anything at E3 2021. So, before we break down Gotham Knights too much, do me a favor, if you guys haven't already, make sure you're subscribed. We're pushing for 50K. We're getting so close. Hit that like button to help spread the video out. Obviously, hit the notification bell so you guys see when these videos go up, okay? All that good stuff really, really helps me out. Okay, so I gotta be honest. I am normally a Debbie Downer. I'm normally a negative Nancy. All the names. You can go through all the female names that you can call me, and I'm probably all of them, okay? And maybe even there's male names, too. There's a lot of things that I am in terms of negative. But in reality, I'm trying to be a realist, okay? I've been there. I've disappointed people, okay? I at least have been told that, Alex, you got us all hyped up, or people like you know, you always hear people say that. But, you know, I've been there, and I think I've toned it down. While I talk louder and faster than ever before, I think I've toned down getting people too excited. I think I've done a really good job of that over the past, I would say, 2 years. But here we are, Warner Bros. Is going. Now, this would be, let me say this. This is truthful. This is, if I could look you in the eye right now, I would. If DC fandom 2021 was not happening, this would be the easiest slam dunk I think ever, okay? Because normally we talk about Game Awards, we talk about all this different stuff. The answer is always no, right? I always say that. While people will sometimes make up that I said certain things, which is just not true, I normally say no, that Gotham Knights won't be here, or don't expect it. It's possible, but I don't think so. Those kind of phrases, right, are my phrases. I actually coined them. I trademarked them, all that stuff. But look, you know, again, you can go through Lego Star Wars. And by the way, when I'm recording this before May 4th, so I don't know if they announced the release date on May 4th, so that may change, but you got Lego Star Wars. Again, you have Monolith's game, which they're just being completely silent. I think some people have told me that they said they're not going to E3. They could be lying. That does not at all mean that they actually aren't going, okay? Honestly, I think they should go to show whatever the heck they're actually working on, but you have NetherRealm. They could do something. Again, you got Suicide Squad, you got Hogwarts Legacy. You got really, technically, by the way, you have Back 4 Blood too. Don't forget Back 4 Blood. They're publishing that. So you really have 6, 7, 8-ish, you know, somewhere in that realm of games that you're not going to do the San Diego game, right? There's the San Diego team that's making that like open world kind of. It could be like a looter shooter thing. It's going to be free to play, all that stuff. So, you know, you're not going to show that game yet because they're just starting it. But you have like a group of games. I think Gotham Knights is obviously very high up there in terms of priority. Like Lego Star Wars will come first. Back 4 Blood will come first. There are some games that'll come before it, but in terms of big, like very popular, and also relatively soon, Gotham Knights is that game. So again, the only thing stopping me from saying, like, take it to the bank, cash the check that said Alex finally, for once in his life, said it'll be there, or he believes it'll be there. Before you do that, don't do it yet. DC fandom is really what scares me, I guess, in like a win-win situation, because really there's only a couple things that happen, okay? There is, in my opinion, 0% chance we go through E3 and DC fandom and get 0 Gotham Knights. There's a 0% chance that happens, okay? I think at least in one or the other, we get it. Now, what I would say, to be a little negative, the most realistic, maybe, and this is completely up to your opinion, I want to hear from you guys in the comments, let me know, okay? I think the most realistic thing is not at E3, but at DC Fandom. The reason I say that is, I just listed off a bunch. I tried to list every Warner Bros. Game, okay? Whether it's developed by them or published by them. Sure, Injustice 3 is like a coin flip. There could be a Superman game. There could be other stuff. But when you think about DC Fandom, only select games fit in DC Fandom. Hogwarts Legacy, you can't show at DC Fandom. Lego Star Wars, you can't, and Lego Star Wars may already be out by then, right? But Lego Star Wars, let's just say it's not out. You can't show it at DC Fandom, right? It's DC, right? So you have, say, a group of 7, 8, let's say 8 games. That's an even number, right? You have 8 games. If only 2 or 3 fit into DC Fandom, the odds of them being there is probably pretty high. You know what I mean? And you go back in history, obviously, to only last year, less than a year ago, you got Gotham Knights. You got Suicide Squad. So there's 2. Do you show them again at this DC Fandom? I think so, because if you don't, well, we know they're going to show games. So, if you don't show those 2 games, what are you going to show? Unless you do Gotham Knights at E3 and then Suicide Squad at DC, you do 1 and 1, or you can swap them, right? But again, that's why I'm saying, it could be the most realistic thing. If they wanted to make NetherRealm's next game, if it's not Injustice, say it's not DC, if you wanted to make that your big E3 thing, then you could do that. If Hogwarts Legacy is going to be their big E3 thing, you could do that. You don't have to do Gotham Knights at E3. So, it's difficult. It's definitely difficult. Like I said, it's probably the most conflicted I've ever been, because it's as close to as sure as I've ever been, and I think even as a community, obviously a lot of people have kind of jumped off the band, which I don't blame people, right? But a lot of people don't care as much. They're kind of just waiting for something to happen. I think as you get closer to E3, a lot of those people come back. You know what I mean? Just off the pure idea that it could be there. And I think that's a good thing. That number 1. And I also think number 2, if it's not there, it's probably the least end of the world that we've ever experienced, because DC Fandom, I don't even remember the date, October 16th or something like that. So you literally just have to wait 4 months, which is a while, okay? But at the same time, I mean, we've waited like almost 10 years. But I think a lot of people come back. I really, really do. And I'm not really saying that for any other reason than there's, I think, expectation there, and I don't think that's a bad thing. And you also have to think about it, I guess, too, from when the game actually releases. So we don't know that, right? We just know it's in 2022. But if the game releases in early 2022, it's also not the end of the world to do it in both places. I feel so here's the deal. Again, you either show it at both, or you show it just at DC Fandom. I really struggle, again, to believe that it won't be at either, and I almost really struggle to think it would only be at E3. You know what I mean? Gotham Knights only being at E3, and then not at DC Fandom. I could see a world where I guess that happens, but I don't really think that makes much sense. You know what I mean? So I really think there's 2 options, one of which it's at E3, but then also DC Fandom, and one where it's not at E3, but it is at DC Fandom, okay? I guess the thing would just be, how much are they willing to this is really, I think, the defining factor. How much are they willing to show early, depending on what early is, and depending, I guess, on how much willing to show is. If they're E3 show, and this will be the first time they've ever done it, so we don't really know. If it's 30 minutes and their plan is to just show trailer, I mean, they could do it. They could easily do Gotham Knights. Nobody's saying they have to do a 10-minute presentation, okay? Now, would be a good time to do a Red Hood and Nightwing presentation? Yes, it would. Could they do a trailer and then do Red Hood and Nightwing presentation at DC Fandom? Yeah. Or could they do the opposite? Yeah. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of options there. But I think it also depends on how they do their E3 show. If it's just boom, if it's just fast, we're just going to show, Sony's done kind of both. If you look at Sony as an example, they've had, remember, I think the last year they did it, where they just had the 4 games. They had The Last of Us, God of War, and then the other 2, which honestly I kind of forget what they were. But remember, it was the orchestra idea where they just showed big sections of all of the games. And that was it. Their entire E3 was 4 things. Very risky, very different, very bold. Sean Layden was in charge. I actually loved it for the idea that it was just so different. But they've also had years where they've said, hey, we're going to let the games do the talking, and they just showed 30 things, right? Boom, 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 boom. Warner Bros. Could easily do this. In fact, that's literally what Warner Bros. Can completely copy, right? They could say, okay, we're going to show you 4 or 5 or 3 big things, and we're going to show you just big sections of them, and that's it. That's all we're showing you here. Or they could say, we don't really want to show you any big snippet of anything. We want to show you small snippets, and so here we go. That's what I mean? There's those 2 options. So I am getting excited, okay? Again, I really think E3 is a really amazing chance. I guess the video will become outdated. I'll tell you how the video becomes outdated. And it could be soon. It could be like a day before E3. It could be not. Depends on if the publisher, like somebody like Warner Bros., talks about what studios are going to be there. So when you have Microsoft going, they don't really have to say anything, even though like Bethesda is its own stuff, even though they have like 343, they don't have to say the studios. They could just say Microsoft is going, you know what I mean? Or like you say Ubisoft. Nobody really knows the Ubisoft team. So when you say Ubisoft is going, it's just Ubisoft. It could really be any games. But if Warner Bros. Says, hey, expect Monolith is going, expect Rocksteady's going. So say they list off like 3 or 4, but Warner Bros. Montreal isn't on that list. Well, it's not impossible, because there has been examples where that's happened before and the studio does go. It's actually a surprise, right? They lied on purpose. That has happened. But it doesn't, I mean, I would say kind of leans towards believe them, and that it probably, they probably won't be there. So keep an eye out for that, because that's definitely something they could do. They don't have to. They could just say, hey, Warner Bros. Games is going. They're not going to say the specific studios, just Warner Bros. Games is going. So we'll have to keep our eyes out, but that's something to watch over for the next, about, I'd say, 5-ish weeks, okay? So let me know, guys, in the comments below, what do you think? Do you think this is the time we see something? Do you think we have to wait till DC Fandom? What do you think they would show? All that good stuff. Let me know in the comments below. As always, make sure, again, you guys are subscribed to this channel, pushing for 50K. I want to get there before E3. I really think we have a good chance of doing it, but make sure if you guys aren't subscribed, you are. Hit the bell icon, hit the like button so that YouTube spreads this video out. Thank you for watching, guys. I really, really do appreciate it. Welcome back if this is the first time watching in a while, and I hope to see you all on the next video.